What's up, fellas? Welcome to the Gomu Gomu No Talk podcast. I'm your host, Lyle, and my co-host.
Hello, I'm Austin.
And yeah, this is gonna be the show where we talk everything One Piece from news, chapter reviews, anime, and so today's gonna be episode one.
hmm
We did if you guys watched our previous episode, it's gonna be in the description, or it's gonna be checking our channel. We did our
Yeah.
little introduction, and today we're gonna be going over. We actually have a few things on the plate
hmm
today aside from just the introductions. We're gonna be talking about 1143.
Yep.
We're gonna be talking about the anime coming back. So we're gonna talk
Yep.
about
I had part
the
two.
trailers, things we're excited about. Egghead Part Two, and we're also gonna do a little fun thing later. We're gonna do a March Madness arc review. So tune in for that. So
hmm
yeah, we can just
Yeah.
I guess
All
we can get
right.
started from
Well,
there.
yeah. Let's just dive right into
Um.
the chapter review. And I guess to start off the chapter review, we can do a quick rundown of the previous chapter. Um.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the children were asleep and they were dreaming of the monsters, and we saw that they were all sleepwalking in the same direction. I
Yeah.
feel like a big
Um.
detail that came out was uh I forgot which one, but it was like one of the teachers saying that they can't touch the kids.
Don't touch them.
Mm-hmm.
Do not touch the kids. And we don't, especially even like the panels that we saw, like we don't really know why. We didn't see, like we found out at 1143 why we
Mm-hmm.
can't touch the kids. But I guess from like the panel that you see of them just walking in that straight line or in the arrow towards the arrow, you don't see the thorns, right?
Yeah.
And all we know is just, don't touch them. So in my head, like last week, I was thinking like, or is it gonna like fuck them up, or you know what I mean, like fuck the kids up, or just maybe the giant suit. But we do get explanation on that too,
mm-hmm.
in this week's chapter. But uh, you know, we from the beginning of 1142, we do see the kids. The first half of it, we do see their nightmares being manifested, right? And then after that, we quickly cut into what's going on with Luffy and Loki,
Mm-hmm.
Sanji, and the gang, basically. And man,
Yeah,
Loki
Loki
was
just came back and just immediately starting chaos.
yeah, Loki was just popping off, and he started the whole fire going on in the big Elbaf Atom tree.
mm-hmm.
Um, Everyone's like, "Say stop, stop, stop!" But there's so much chaos going on with the shit like that. Loki's like what's going on Loki's crew,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even think they don't know what's going on too on the mainland, right? Like,
No.
they're all just worried about like stopping Loki. Meanwhile, on in the main area in the overworld, we see the Holy Knights just starting their plan,
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically kind of where we left off on 1142,
Yeah, literally the
and
end of 1142 is just all the manifested nightmares of the children coming to
yeah,
life.
we see a lot of shit. We saw an
hmm
evil, like I guess Nika.
Yep.
We saw like wolf beat, like a crazy looking wolf.
hmm A
We
dragon.
see we see dragons. We see, I guess that's like one of the kids' biggest nightmares too is Loki.
Yep.
The lightning cloud. We see a lot of stuff, and that they just kind of just goes into what we got going on 1143, where we
hmm
do find out a lot more about how this power works and
Yeah.
more of their the Holy Knights, what's it called? Like their intentions, and we do get to see a little bit of their chemistry with one another too.
hmm
But just the chapter starts off uh with they're at the school, and we see Saul just like,
Yes.
all right, like I'm gonna try to like grab these children and see what's going on, but then you see the thorns
It's
come
like
out.
thorns. I thought it was like spikes at first, but yeah, it's
It's
revealed to
from
be thorns from Saint
yeah, Saint
Saturn
Summers.
or Summers.
No, no, Saint
yeah.
Saturn's gone, but so yeah, Saint Summers had all these guys have devil fruits, right? So Saint
hmm
Summers has the thorn fruit,
Yep.
and they're all like working, I guess, in unison. Like all three of these guys been trying to get these kids back to wherever they need to go to abduct them. What the Holy Knights are trying to do.
hmm
We see, so the kids are asleep. we see that it's from Saint Killingham's Devil Fruit power. He has
Yes,
the
and
Dragon
Saint
Dragon
Killingham, yep, has
Mythical Zoan
mythical
model
Zoan,
Kieran. Yeah,
and he is
listen, I'm tired.
yeah.
I'm tired of seeing these mythical zones. Okay, that's
I agree. And I like that in parentheses, like it basically explains his powers and it says a dream materializing man. And we
yeah,
get to really
like,
see that in the chapter too. Like in I thought was a really interesting detail of like these guys are like eating a meal and they need salt. So then he makes Saint Summers just dream of salt to add to
oh my
their
god,
meal.
man, that is that. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, I thought their nonchalantness of the situation going on of their
Mm-hmm.
mission, and they're just like, okay, we gotta eat. All right, these guys are goofing around trying to eat. I was like, where the fuck's my salt? And he's like, oh no, just go to sleep, man. Dream some salt. Will and then Saint Buckingham, not Saint Buckingham, Saint Killingham
Mm-hmm.
was like just manifested salt for him, which I thought was really cool. And we get to see, around this page too. I think there are dynamics between these three people as
Yeah,
well. Like,
Gunko definitely seems very like more serious, but then even in
not
this
like
chapter,
them.
she kind of broke too, like her
She broke
personality.
too. But I do see, maybe I'm reading too much in between the lines of how serious she is compared to like how like the other two,
Hmm.
right? And
I mean,
maybe
Saint
that's
Summers is
also,
just laid back.
yeah. Saint Summers and Saint Killingham are seem pretty laid back. I mean, Saint Summers a lot more so.
Hmm.
I guess I don't really think we don't really see Saint Killingham's human form as well yet, so we don't really get to see like his personality yet. We
Yeah,
just see that
I'm
dragon with a
I'm very
mask on.
curious, and also why does he have a mask on? You know,
Um,
that's something I'm like
I'm
very curious because it's just like,
uh
uh,
I'm not too sure. Maybe
mhm,
I mean he also has the helmet on too, right? The
mhm,
helmet that the celestial dragons wear.
yeah,
So maybe maybe that has something to do with it too, because these two Saint Summers and Saint Killingham are world nobles as well. Like, and Buck Gunko isn't,
mhm.
and the, I guess Saint Summers, like, he's super laid back. He does not give a fuck, right? Maybe Saint Killingham's a little. Maybe he still has that celestial dragon energy
Yeah,
going on. Where he's
he
like, I'm
got
not
that
trying to breathe the
celestial
same
dragon blood
air.
inside of him, dude.
I'm not trying to
He
breathe
can,
the same air as these fucking peasants. Or
dude.
maybe it has something to do with his double fruit, where it's like if he doesn't contain it within himself, he's just everyone around him is just gonna fall asleep or
Hmm.
something, right?
Maybe,
Like it's
but
those people that are like
yeah, I
trying to
wonder
contain
how that
their
works
poison or
because
something.
you could see in the chapter he kind of like it almost seems like he sends out like a hypnotic beam. It reminds you of the what was that one arc like with the guy with the slow fruit. It has like the same
Oh
like
my
visual
god,
effect as that
Foxy,
Fox. Yeah, the guy from the Foxy Pirates. It has that visual, and then you can see it just like puts him to sleep immediately.
the guy from the guy from the from the Foxy. Okay, he is the guy.
He's him.
Put
He's
some
him.
respect on
Foxy.
the Foxy. Okay, but yeah, we know. So we do see
Mhm.
so like how it works from what I could see, right, is these guys are put to sleep. The arrow fruit from Gunko is leading these guys towards
The
the direction. They even
children.
talk about it. Like,
Mhm.
what I believe it was Saint Killingham and Saint
Summer.
Saint Summers like asking
Mhm.
like, hey, which route did you choose? So they all work together to try to get these kids back to where they need to go. And it's like it's too easy,
They
there's
actually have a good
no
system
one
going
stopping
for
them.
them.
Nobody's stopping them, and that's what Summers is talking about. Like, man, this
Mhm.
game is too easy. Like, I'm trying to go home.
Yeah, they're literally
I
eating
need.
dinner,
Yeah,
and
this game
they're
is.
just
He even says himself.
completing their
This game is for
mission.
babies. This
Mhm.
game is for babies, and Gonko is being the reasonable one here. Like, she does mention that, like, hey, like, Luffy is on this island,
Mhm.
and they don't like really talk about like, oh, we should be careful for them. It cuts out before they get more into like talk about Luffy being on the island, but it's like they had like Gunko is well aware that like shit can go south, right?
Mhm.
And Summers might not think so, but it's like it is very shaping towards, we'll see in the later in the chapter 2 about how like these uh forces are just gonna end up colliding between Straw Hats,
Hmm.
the giant
Yeah,
New Age giants, old age giant, pirate giants, clashing together the Holy
pretty much
Knights to
everybody.
save these kids.
Yeah, I like
Mm-hmm.
that as soon as she brings up like, oh, she says she like notifies them that she saw the ship, like Straw Hat ship, and that Luffy's in Elbaf, and then it just cuts back right into what's going like Luffy's situation, in which you can kind of get a size comparison of Loki compared to all the other giants and even Luffy and Zoro, and this guy is just massive. And
Gig-
yeah.
Gigantic. He's supposed to be the same size as Oars. Oh yeah, right. And it's
Hmm.
like, and like when I was watching Thriller Bark or when I was reading Thriller Bark, I didn't really realize how big Oars was. So like I saw like a size comparison against these guys. Like, dude, like Loki is fucking ginormous. Like I
This guy
think
is
like
massive.
Hajrudin is like up to like Loki's knees, which is like
Hmm.
nuts
He's like
to even think about.
basically just at his knees. And
Like
then even compared to his weapon Ragnar, he's about the size of like the hammerhead itself. Like the hammerhead itself is that big. And he even mentions
mm,
that no one can even lift it, which makes sense because it's just like, how would they? It's massive. It's
I
bigger than
mean
them.
I mean we've seen though how like these weapons can shrink. I guess like the Ragnar comparison is like extremely uh to the extreme, right, of how big it is, because but we've seen like how big Odin is, and then when he when with him and Enma, but then like with
Mhm.
Zoro, it should be smaller, but then it shrinks, and then I think Oda confirmed in SBS somewhere that it's like the weapons do scale with the person, but it's Ragnar's big as shit. Like
Ragnar is
I don't even know
huge,
how
dude.
I don't know how I can try to justify
This
this.
thing
I'm
is
trying to like
absolutely massive.
I'm trying to make it seem like, because I do
Mhm.
think there is some sort of like aspect of why Ragnar can't be lifted, right? I don't. I feel
Mhm.
like that's like not something that Loki would mention just out of nowhere, just because like, oh, you can't lift this because you're too weak, like you're too physically weak to lift it. But I do feel like there is some
There
other
might be
aspect to
like something
why.
deeper in which I
Yeah,
know that we even talk about this, like the idea of like his the weapon being the devil fruit. I
yeah.
I don't believe much theories, but I actually thought that was a really good one, especially since the fact that we know that he killed his father in order to obtain this devil fruit. It would make sense that like it was a physical object, and we know prior to that like it's passed down, within the royal
hmm
family, which I guess for a physical weapon and a physical object that would make a lot of sense.
We know that, especially mythical Zoans, they do like Zoans in general just have like a will of their own,
Hmm.
and we do see that like when a Zoan devil fruit gets eaten by an inanimate object, we saw with Spandam's weapon, it becomes a sentient being.
Hmm. It becomes its
So
own
it may,
entity.
because of the entity. So in my head, when I see stuff like, oh, you can't even lift Ragnar, maybe there is some sort of mythical zone that we haven't seen
Hmm.
before, but it's like in his but you have to be like worthy, like how like there is with Mjolnir, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have to be worthy enough to be even able to lift this thing, or else like you just won't budge. And it is from what we see, that shit does crazy damage. Like Loki, even as weak as he is, he's causing everyone's like afraid. Like everyone,
Yeah,
like
the
he's causing
standoff
fires already.
really shows like how strong this guy is. You can see from the
Yeah,
image it's literally a 1v8, but they're like but it seems like
they're all being cautious. They're all
Loki is
cautious.
not on the defense, like he's all on the
Yeah,
offense and everyone else is seems like they're playing defense. And they try to seems like they try to negotiate with him, but Luffy kind of puts a stop. Like
yeah.
he kind of just stops it almost immediately, which I guess makes
So
sense because Loki was already basically at like 1 HP. He was already pretty beat up.
yeah, Luffy is very good at just reading people, like way better than a lot of I mean, I guess that's his thing, right? It's like he sees the good in people.
Mhm.
And I know like his motivation of keeping uh Loki alive is just so he can find out more about Shanks because he
Mhm.
did say, if you let me out, I'll tell
We will
you
say
what Shanks going
Luffy
on.
does have a pretty good judge of character when it comes to
Yeah.
like other characters.
Mm-hmm. So we do see that he's like he's trying to reason with Hydrogen, like hey, let's not kill this guy or let's not do terrible things. Like I still need him alive.
Mhm.
And
Of
he
unfinished
even told
business.
he told Luffy, he's like, hey, like he told Loki, he's like, dude, like, we made a deal. If I let you out, if you do some funny shit, I'm knocking your ass out. And
And he
he hit his
did.
ass
He
with a
immediately.
Gear 3 Gum Gum arm balloon.
Mhm.
No, no hockey. Just a natty
Yeah.
punch. I thought that was pretty. Man, that pan. That's a small panel, but it's like, man, like I wish that was his own like double page where we get to see
Yeah, that
him
would have been
just
sick.
knock his ass out. Because you remember how oh man, it's like those like when like Luffy punched Kaido
Yeah.
at first from the air.
Mhm.
I can imagine that on this panel where it's just like Luffy knocking his ass out. So we do see that Loki from this whole he was still feeling the injuries from what happened with the Holy Knights prior.
Mhm.
Um and this was all a bluff, right? It's even like a lot of these guys knew too. It's like Zoro knew that hey Luffy, like you need to, if you're gonna hit up, like chill out because you might actually like hurt him like crazy.
Mhm.
Um and even
I
it
mean,
just took
he was
one
bleeding
punch.
pretty badly. They could definitely tell he was
Loki,
heavily injured.
yeah, Loki ended up getting knocked out, and they were all saying like, hey, like this guy might just be he was just definitely just bluffing because I don't know where like he might just run away somewhere else. Like he
Mhm.
was like the whole like injured cat against the wall kind of against the corner kind of thing.
Mhm.
Just he wasn't there to fight. Like he was just there to protect himself, see if he can like get away from everybody else. And
Yeah, I guess next, like
we do
we can see them. Obviously, Luffy does have a talk with Harjuden, and request that they treat him. And while being treated, they removed his hat, which I personally thought that the horns were a part of the hat, but that is not the case.
mm,
Um,
nah,
you can see that
it's
this is the real deal. They call it it's the mark of the
the ancient
ancient
blood.
giants.
Yeah, it's
And
the
I
ancient
just
giant's
wish
blood.
that they revealed his eyes, but they kept the wraps on, and I wonder why, to be honest, or maybe that's just his
I
character.
Or maybe this is just like how he looks, man. Maybe just maybe he's hiding his eyes like Zoro's hiding his left eye. He's gonna reveal
Maybe,
shark eyes
yeah,
underneath them. But it's like Don's
like oh
but
yeah,
but it's man, it is I do think it's very interesting seeing how much like everyone's so scared of it. Like they're like talking about like,
Mhm.
hey, like we should bring him back to the village. Like
Yeah,
this is not a place for you to recover. It's like no, because everyone's gonna actually just want to kill him.
that
If
makes
we do bring him
sense.
back to the village.
They
Yeah,
do
no,
not
that makes
like
sense.
him.
Like Loki is black. Like from what they're like, from what they see, Black Air Force energy. Right, this
Hmm.
guy is on some shit,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
we
he was
do see like
banished
a
for a reason.
yeah, he's Spanish for a reason, and we do see like a flashback, which I think is
Mhm.
pretty cool, of Hajrudin and Loki growing up, and and King Harold was like, Yo, both y'all my kids, I love you guys," you know,
Mhm.
and and then like Loki's just a fucking menace, like fuck you,
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
bullying Harjuden.
your mama a bitch,
Yeah.
and and I do think it's I thought that was kind of funny. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie,
you can definitely
and even then
tell
his heart,
Harjuden's got some trauma he's been carrying around. Because he immediately
and
goes to
also,
Loki with his axe and he goes for the swing, you know? He actually realizes, like, he doesn't forgive him.
hmm and
And mhm,
you mentioned this too, like his eyes are also still closed in those flashbacks as well, and it's like
yeah,
that's
it's
just his
always been
character
like
designs.
that.
It's always been like that,
And
but
he had the same
we,
exact hat on.
but he has a different weapon. He's got the beluga,
Hmm.
whatever, the same type of weapon that
Kaido.
Kaido had. but
Yeah.
by Bagua, I think it was called. But I think that, like the most important part of this chapter that
Yep.
we do get to see is at the end where they talk about like Hashin's like, yeah, I can't forgive you for killing my daddy, King Harold, and you even talk about my
Yeah.
mama,
Yeah, and
but
Loki just immediately like scoffs at at that comment of like him killing his father. And I feel like again, they saved the best for last, you know?
Mhm.
Like Loki really asks him like you don't really buy it, you know? Like do you? And in which I
you
know we talked prior to this like how you personally told me you thought Loki got set up, in which this really plays into that idea and that theory, you know, that he didn't really
I
kill his
I
father.
I do think he killed his father, but I think he did it for a reason.
Hmm.
And like that was the whole like I mentioned like I don't think I talked about this before. I mean, it's the first episode, but I told Austin before in the past, like I do think like Loki could be um he plays a fool, right? Whereas in like he takes blame of certain things that happens in Elbaf, like as his fault, but at the end of the day he's doing it for good. Like, he
Hmm.
still cares about the
Yeah,
island, He might just be
he might be a
to other
menace.
people he might be a menace, but there's a beauty behind
It's
the madness,
deeper.
basically.
Yeah.
It gets deeper than that. So when Loki says like, "Oh, like do you really like believe that?" I don't think it's him saying I didn't kill him, you know.
Hmm.
Like I do think
Well, I
because he
guess it's
does
just
say
like killing in
they
cold
all say
blood,
I
right?
yeah,
Like
because he does
there
say
must have been a
they
reason behind
all
it.
they all say I went and killed dad with pure murder in my heart, but you don't believe that.
Hmm.
So that's very important to like know. Like we're gonna find out probably in this next chapter or maybe next few chapters, see why King Harold was killed in the first
Yeah,
place.
the Loki
There had
backstory
to
is
have been a reason.
definitely gonna go crazy, I think, and
Yeah.
it sounds like it's setting up to be really interesting. You know,
Mm,
since we're seeing that like from our perspective and how started, we're seeing the like the outcome, like the effects of obviously Loki's terror, but seeing like why I think is gonna be really interesting, and it's definitely gonna be sad.
oh my god.
I can already
Oda
tell.
Oda Oda can make anyone look like a saint. Okay, like
Mhm.
I already know what this stuff's going on, and like we see Hasruden's already tearing up from what's going what's
Yeah,
going on.
he looks
When
very conflicted at the end of like to the point I almost think he actually doesn't believe like along with the rest, you know.
he's blinded by rage, like it's the whole conflicting thing. Like he spent his whole life hating this guy. It's
Mhm.
gonna take a lot more to convince him. Like, yeah, hey, maybe Loki did it for a reason. Maybe Loki's actually a good guy,
Yeah.
but he spent his whole life. I don't know how old Juden is. Like those the Giants are old as shit.
Yeah.
But we will find out later, and I'm still in the big belief that like Loki knows he just takes the blames for a lot of things, but he knows deep down what he's doing is right. It
Mhm.
kind of sucks that he gets himself into this situation, but
Maybe
uh,
it's for the greater good.
for like, but okay, so like that's something we could talk about is like what exactly. I mean, like, do you have maybe some predictions of like why he might have killed his dad? I do think it's like maybe his dad is went. Like, I think the easy thing to say is like, oh, his dad went mad,
Yeah.
right?
You think they
I
went
do.
down like the Game of Thrones route?
I think there might be a thing
That could
where,
be a possibility in which I could
but
see
like
that. But I also think maybe he was like framed into it or like I could definitely see like outside factors.
I maybe one of them. I think I saw this online, or I don't know. Maybe his dad, because you know how the Elbaf isn't allied with the world government, and they've been
Hmm.
trying to like ally. I guess the world government has been trying to recognize them as a country, right, of some sorts. And I do know like the Giants know more about, especially because their generations are cut like since they do grow to like 300 years old, the generations passed down of what happened, especially like in the Void Century, is much more clear, right? The
Hmm.
Giants know something that humans don't, basically, based off how much longer they live. and maybe Loki knows some shit, right? And like I think maybe his dad tried to like he found out his dad is just trying to ally themselves to the world government or
Hmm.
something. I think I saw that online. Like I don't really know the exact details of it, but it's like his dad was trying to ally with themselves to the world government, and then Loki was like, "No, we can't do this.
I have to
We
kill
can't
my
do this. These guys are
father.
fucking. I
Yeah.
had like this shit cannot go through. What's going on? You know, stuff like that, or like, or maybe he just went like fucking crazy as hell for no reason. I don't know, but they're like,
Hmm.
they don't strike the Giants don't strike me as just like mindless zombies who just want to fight for the sake of fighting. Like there
Yeah,
has to
I
be,
agree with that.
reasons
And
what's going on.
I guess that like my like what I expect in the next few chapters is definitely that backstory and why. To be
Mhm.
honest, I'm not really sure. There's a lot of theories going around, but I'm not really sure which one I really believe. But I'm really excited to see the backstory because I feel like that will definitely explain everything.
Oh yeah, it'll expand a whole lot.
Mm,
Um, and man, it's like it's yeah, and we're gonna get to the end of that, and like, and one thing that's really cool too, though, is that next week there's no break,
I know
and
that
then the
that was
week
a big
after,
detail.
no break, no break.
We're
So
actually
we're gonna have
getting
2 more
consecutive
weeks. Oh
chapters.
my,
Mm,
that's gonna be crazy. I'm super 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 excited. I'm sure you are as well, but it's gonna be crazy.
no,
Um,
I'm very excited, and I guess to end this off with, what would you personally rate this chapter?
are we doing like a 1 through 10?
Let's go with one
Or
through 10.
the 1 to the what about the 1 to 2 scale? I'm just
No, let's
kidding.
do 1 through 10 and personal enjoyment, like your personal
I
enjoyment.
1 through 10, I'd say this is like uh a 7.
Okay,
I don't there was like, dude, like the whole lot of text
there was
is
a lot
getting
of
to me,
text.
but dude, but it's like we do get to find out a lot, and there wasn't as much I don't think there was much progression of the story.
Hmm.
We only get to see glimpses of how it could progress, which I guess in turn is progression of the story, but we don't really know much. We only found out a few things about like the powers and specifically how the powers from the Holy Knights work, their personalities, and we get to see like the revelation that hey, Loki might not actually be a bad guy.
Hmm.
So I'll give it a 7. I do like the ending of it. I do think the most important part of the chapter, that revelation. So yeah, I do think it's a 7 personally for me. I enjoyed the chap. I enjoy all these chapters every week. Um, Especially how well Elbaf's been going. But yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. So there goes that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I would give it an 8. I like that they just immediately revealed, the Holy Knight's powers. Um, and then they ended the chapter obviously with, an interesting dynamic between the giants, as well as
Mhm.
Loki's character. So I give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of text though, but I'm starting to realize that that will just be every single chapter.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh
let's.
my god. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Before we continue, I was like scrolling through the pages, and I do think something we missed or we didn't really talk about is
Mhm.
the fire department giants, right? When
Oh
they're like,
yeah,
"Oh, we're here to save the day, guys," and they get
immediately
one
getting knocked
shot.
down by the
I just
the
thought that was
dream.
everyone's like, "Oh shit!" I thought that shit was
No,
so.
that was a pretty funny
I just
part.
saw that. I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah. So we can go on to our next topic.
Yes, and I'm
Oh my
very
god.
excited for the next topic.
Oh my god, guys, we're finally getting to the end of of our IRL time skip. We're going to the 1W6M, okay? We're the
Yep.
IRL time skip. Hopefully in those 6 months, everyone started going to the gym, started getting on that diet, because we're finally getting back to the
Mhm.
anime.
I hope that
And-
people during the 6 months just read the manga. To be honest, like skip the
man,
gym, just catch up on Egghead because it's coming back in one more week.
yeah, I think the next so I think there's gonna be a double episode gonna be dropping next week
Mhm.
in April. I'm super excited, and part of this. part of this podcast too, we're gonna be along with the chapter reviews, we're gonna be talking about the anime episodes as well.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
that's something I'm really looking forward to do. I'm Toei, they gave their animators that long awaited the long awaited vacation. That they've been working on too hard. So now we're actually getting to see well rested Toei. They have more time to animate a lot of these scenes because there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming up in the Egghead chapters. I did see like a video of like a clip of from what's his face Kuma's backstory. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
You can see
the
Kizaru.
world is not ready. The world
Mhm.
is not ready for the Kuma backstory. The world is not ready for uh Kizaru pulling up, the Gorosei pulling up, and man, I'm just super excited. Like, I want to ask you, it's like from the Egghead moments, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people will think Egghead is one of the better arcs that came out,
Yeah, I'm one
especially
of them.
recently. Yeah, I think Egghead is one of them ones. And what moments or parts are you most excited about to see
Hmm.
animated, coming to the big screen?
Mhm. Oh, wow, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like everybody, all the manga readers, have the same answer, and that's just the five elders and the Gorosei just pulling up and also
Mhm.
revealing their devil fruits. I felt like for me that was like one of the biggest unsolved questions since pretty early on, was just, who are these five elders, and like, do they have devil fruits, or are they just like how strong are these guys, and Egghead, we that gets revealed. So
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that. What about you? What are you looking forward to in Egghead Part
dude,
2?
I'm excited. I think this like the specific scene I'm most excited about. There's two scenes. It's Luffy 1v2ing Saturn and Kizaru. That's the first one.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be crazy. And
And
the
that's gonna
second
be
one I'm
like the
excited
first thing
about,
we see.
and the second one I'm most excited about is when Emu kills Saturn. Like,
Oh, the end.
I remember reading that from the manga of how eerie, like how like I was
It
like
was very
I was
graphic.
kind of spooky.
It was
It was
very
very
graphic.
very graphic, and Toei has done a good job like making Emu, like animating Emu into this very uh like scary creature, you can say, right? Even when
Hmm.
like Sabo pulled up back in the Reverie um on the Five Gorosei after Cobra dies, how like eerie it felt as like if you were just an anime watcher, just seeing the Five Gorosei just turning into these like grotesque creatures, you
Hmm.
know? And like I want to see how Toei like brings that sort of mysteriousness of Emu's power in like how making it even more graphic than it was in the manga of how Saturn just like gets turned into dust in front of all the vice admirals. I'm very, very excited for that scene. But also like also the fight scenes, Kuma backstory, all that cool stuff. But that one in particular, that's the one I'm most excited to see.
Yeah. No, that's I'm really excited to see that as well.
Yeah,
But so that's coming out in one more week. But I guess in the
that's coming out.
meantime, let's move on to our next segment, in which
Uh,
it's been
yeah.
something in the works for a while, and I think it's very fitting since we're in March. And
Okay.
here we have the arc March Madness.
um, yeah, this is gonna be. We're gonna try to do this. Just hopefully we both agree on something.
Mhm.
But it's in the spirit of March Madness. March Madness is going on. To all my basketball watchers, we all know how mid this March Madness has been. So we actually should tune into some.
This
Hopefully,
is
we'll get
this
some
is the
upsets
real March
here.
Madness, okay?
This is the real March Madness. Hopefully, we'll get some upsets here. Probably not. We'll
Mhm.
see how it goes. But yeah, so
And
I
I
guess we can
guess
get
I made it
started.
so I'll explain the format in which I basically put the arcs, all the existing arcs, especially if you go onto the One Piece wiki. This is how they have them listed. Obviously, there's like sub arcs in which, like, I can show you if we click onto the first one. I also made notes. So what this arc covers, For
Mm,
example, it says obviously East Blue, which is the first arc, but that also encompasses Romance Dawn, Orange Town, Syrup Village, Baratier. I know this was one of Lyle's favorites. And then
Yeah.
so I kind of wrote down all the sub arcs within these arcs, and we can kind of
Hmm.
discuss as we go through. But as for seeding, it was random, so don't come at me. So
Hey, why did
why are the
Syrup Village
first
get a
two together? Like I don't make the rules.
um
But and then so one
hey,
thing that I want to note was I also put Egghead in here since we do have the first half and it's setting up to be like technically Elbaf and Egghead will be under the same arc apparently, but I just put it by itself since I think we're gonna go from like an anime perspective.
yeah, I will say is the ones who got skips, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um Water 7, Summit War, and Wano. I think that's very fitting because I feel like those are the best. So maybe the seating was maybe the random seating was cooking. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so so we can start off at
Let's
the
just jump
top.
right into
East
it.
Blue
East Blue.
versus Arabasta.
Mm-hmm. I
Man, that's actually
guess
pretty close for me, to be
really,
honest.
really.
I feel like a lot of people like shit on East Blue, but East, man, Arlong Park, Baratier. I think Romance Dawn was. I feel like it was short,
I
but I
guess
thought it was really good.
this has a lot of nostalgia since it is the beginning. We meet
So
the
okay, so
core.
l- let's talk about like how we're gonna actually like score this too. Like, is it gonna
Mhm.
be personal enjoyment?
I would say
Important to the
personal
story.
enjoyment.
Yeah. Um, Important to personal enjoyment to me too is like seeing how important it is to the story. Obviously, like I think Alabasta wins this, right?
Hmm.
But we're gonna talk about East Blue first. Like we get to see like this is very quintessential. We get to meet the first five people in the
The
gang.
core
There's
founding members.
a lot of cool moments in every single arc. We see Shanks
Hmm.
giving Luffy his hat. We get to see Nami asking Luffy for help.
Arlong
Zoro
Park.
saying, "Hey, I'm never gonna lose again, dude." I listen to that speech before I go to the gym. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm in the gym warming up, and then I hear Zoro saying, "I will never lose
Just
again,"
on
and then
repeat, nonstop.
and then I let the bar fall on me right after that.
Oh.
And then there's so many cool moments in East Blue, but I think with Ha- Alabasta, like
Yeah, let's
there's
go
so much
over
cool
some of
moments
the
too.
Alabasta. You know, we got Reverse, Mountain Arc,
Crocodile,
Whiskey Peak,
yeah,
Little Garden. But my favorite one out of this is definitely Drum Island, surprisingly.
yeah. Drum
Meeting
Island is
Chopper
carries.
was for me very memorable. I thought his backstory was actually really sad as well, and I actually really enjoyed that arc. And this is definitely I feel like it's almost a little unfair because this arc is a lot longer. But I feel like for me, meeting Crocodile as a villain was at the time
Yeah,
peak. Like this was the strongest guy we've met, like one of the strongest enemies we've met in a while. He ruled his Alabasta.
with his golden hook.
As
But
opposed
like
to like East Blue, where we have not to sleep on Arlong, but I definitely
the
prefer
villains
like a
are not
really
as
good
good.
villain in which I thought Crocodile story wise, as well as like how much of a threat he was, I thought played a better
I
role.
think in total, East Blue has better moments,
Hmm.
right? Like there's a lot of iconic moments in East Blue, but Alabasta has a, way better villains, and it has the moments. It's not like East Blue has way better moments than like egregiously, right? There's still a lot of cool moments in Alabasta. But like story wise to Alabasta, man, like you mentioned, like Drum Island is my personal one of my favorite
Hmm.
one of my favorite arcs ever. And I think the only thing that brings Drum Island down is Wapple. And yeah, but Wapple's doing his thing, but Wapple
I
I guess
agree.
how absurd Wapple is like what makes Drum Island so good too. Maybe it's a good thing
Mhm.
that I hate him because like it's one of those characters that are like Oda will make just like the sole purpose is to say this guy's a fucking idiot. Like you know what I mean? But long story short, Alabasta takes this.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
but
think
I think it's closer than how some people would say. Okay,
I
put some
agree.
respect. Put some respect on East Blue. Put
Okay,
some
so
respect
East
on East
Blue
Blue.
is out. I next one we got Sky Island and Dressrosa.
Man, two
Sky
of
Island
the
was
long
really long.
ones. They're
And
both
it's
really long.
basically just Sky Island, Sky Pier arc, and
And Jaya.
then yeah, and Jaya.
There's some cool parts from Sky Island. We get to meet Blackbeard. We get to
There's a lot
meet
of good lore drop
Anaru.
too. We see like the first poneglyphs, I think, in Sky
Oh
Island.
no, we no we
Oh no,
see
we've
we
seen them
see it in
before.
Alabasta.
Yeah, but
We
then we
see it in
see
Alabasta.
the message on
Goldie Roger.
mhm,
Uh, Skype has a lot of. This is like I think what like Oda does is like he, he'll drop a few things here and there, and then
foreshadowing.
like it'll be a crazy foreshadowing in the future.
Mhm,
If it's planned or not, I'm not one to say, but especially from Wano, right, and what's going on in the manga right now and the story in general, like we do see a lot of callbacks from Skypiea,
mhm.
and a lot of people will say, "Oh, skip this arc, blah blah blah," but I think like the thing about Skypiea is so good is man, for some reason the humor on this arc is insane. It is
I
actually like
agree.
one of the funniest arcs. Like I don't know why, like just even from the start, right?
Right off the
Where
rip.
they're right off the rip, right after they leave Alabasta, Robin's there. They're like, "Oh, let's go down to this abandoned ship on the floor and under the ocean." And Luffy just comes out of nowhere with a fucking like suit and armor on, right? And like it
Yeah,
starts off the
armored
bat like
Luffy.
Luffy is armored Luffy, and then like I don't know where you see these guys who look like monkeys, just like clap them, and then they turn out to be what's the guy's name?
Oh,
Nolan's like Nolan's friends. I
mhm,
forgot his first name, but like, and then there's like so many funny moments in like when they get to Skypiea too.
mhm.
I
Even
like one of the
during the
funniest ones is
fights, it's not
Usopp.
funny.
Usopp Flip is insane.
Mhm.
Usopp Flip is like a top five One Piece
Dude,
meme,
that's aura right
and
there.
is Zoro just like doing this whole like Tarzan impression,
Mhm.
like where they do, "Ah!"
No, yeah, this was a very comical arc, but I also
It's
think
very funny.
for when it comes to villains at the time, dude, this guy was OP. And Nell
Yeah,
was this guy was unstoppable, especially since like hockey wasn't a thing. This guy was literally immortal. They even looked at him as a god. Some of the people there. This guy was a menace, and
he
he
had to.
even if you were to compare him to like I don't know about like current, but like more like farther in the story, he was so strong for
Oh my
at the
god,
time.
he
His
got
devil fruit
diffed by
was OP.
he got diffed by plot armor.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, like Luffy plot armor went crazy in this episode. I mean, in
Mhm.
this arc, and that's fine. We needed a way to continue the
Dude,
story, but
he got rubber diffed.
he NL legit
This was just
destroyed
a
one of the
bad
armors.
matchup, like this was just the worst
Yeah,
possible matchup for him, but he wins every other matchup.
so like I don't. So that's the thing. I don't understand the hate for Skypiea because, like, I guess it's because they don't feel like it's like it can be part of the story because they go all the way up in the sky. But it's like,
No, I
come
felt
on,
like this
man.
was
Like,
very important to the
this was a
story.
very funny, very very funny, very important to the story. The antagonists are cool as hell. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't really like the people with NL.
Hmm.
But I thought NL was cool as
I know
fuck.
was
I thought his fight
dope.
was and also like there was a lot of cool moments here too. Like Sanji's like, oh, I need a light going, and then there's like the whole
Yeah.
like when NL's face, like the origin of the NL
Oh
face,
yeah, that
seeing
meme.
Luffy,
Not
seeing Luffy
affected.
like, and then again, man, shout out Usopp Flip when he was trying to look like Ace out there.
Hmm.
Like there's so much shit
A
going
lot
on
of
in
memorable
Skypiea.
moments in this arc.
So
So for
we can
me,
go.
this was a pretty top tier arc. But oh
Yeah,
man,
let's go to Dressrosa.
me and Lyle have differing opinions on Dressrosa,
Yeah,
and
I love Dressrosa and
Lyle
Punk
loves
Hazard. Man.
Dressrosa, and I think our where our disagreement comes is that you just read through it, but at the time I was watching through it, and the pacing was atrocious.
I don't know how I'd be able to handle 5 episodes of Luffy charging up
Yeah.
before he could go Gear 4 again.
So although I agree with you on most of your points of like the villain, the story, I just thought that the pacing at the time just like completely ruined it for me.
Yeah,
Specifically for Dressrosa, I love Punk Hazard
the Punk Hazard is really cool.
because
That's
I
where
am
we
a
get to meet
law simp.
oh my god, yeah. Because I remember like when I started reading the story and I first get introduced to Law, and I was like, Law has cool powers, but I didn't really think he was like, whatever when we meet in
Mhm.
Sabaody. But I'm telling you, man, when he changed from that skimpy hoodie to the to the cloak to the
Cloak
jacket,
and no
with
shirt.
no shirt, there's some drip, And
Mhm.
this was okay. Honestly, this whole arc was just drip. We got Sabo pulling up with a top hat. We
Oh
got
yeah, Sabo coming back into the
Doflamingo, the
story.
king of drip himself. Law just looking like a badass.
Mhm.
Come on, man.
I
It
know.
is, and
This is
probably one of the better Luffy fits, even though Luffy just wears the same thing every single time. Ah, man.
You know what's so funny
And
though
then
about
Zoro in the suit. Oh my god,
yeah,
Zoro in the
Zoro in a
suit.
suit, but for some reason this Luffy fit is so popular amongst like anime conventions. Have you ever
Oh my
noticed
god.
this? Noticed that? Last time
Yeah.
I went to like Anime NYC and I see this shirt everywhere.
I th- I do remember seeing a lot of like ads for like, hey, buy this shirt, like
Mhm.
you can buy it online right now. And maybe that's like everyone saw that. It's like, oh, let me just buy that shit. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with this arc. Aside from
Mhm.
like, let's not talk about the
Yeah,
unimportant stuff like
I mean
there.
even
But like
the
the
big reveal
story,
of Gear 4, I felt like that
yeah.
at the time was the biggest thing. We obviously we seen that Luffy after the time skip, he's way stronger. Like his Gear 2, Gear 3 is like so much stronger. He's got hockey, but introducing another gear, I thought that was like the pinnacle of Dressrosa, and
Mhm.
using it to just finish off Doflamingo, who I would say is the drippiest villain.
Yeah, no, for real. Like it's and we see with Punk, since we're including Punk Hazard in this too, we get to see the introduction of so much more characters too. So we get to see Kinemon and Momo, right, from
Hmm.
Punk Hazard. We get to see Caesar Clown was a recurring character for multiple arcs after that. We see
Yes.
Doflamingo. We get to introduce Kaido and his
Yeah.
importance to the story. Law. We find out a lot of stuff about Law and his connection to the D clan. Um, and yeah,
And
no,
even
this was
Law's
like a very,
backstory,
very
dude. Law's
long
backstory,
backstories.
Doflamingo's backstory, my boy Corazon.
Yeah, this was a really crazy good arc,
Mhm.
but the pacing, I'm not gonna
The
lie, I
pacing
do
was rough,
understand.
but I still think easily. I still think when you're comparing the two, I would put Dressrosa on top. I
Dude,
think story
it's funny you
wise.
say that. I'm about to say some shit. I actually think
Mhm.
Sky Island is
Really?
better. Dude, the more I talk about Skypiea, I'm just like, man,
Dude, yeah, I was surprised. You kind of
it
went
might
off
just be
on
better.
Sky. Yeah.
Cause I'm just like, I mean, okay, like I do like I love Dressrosa, right? But I guess we can go Dressrosa here if we were to
Mm.
agree on one. Like, because to me it's like 50-50, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't matter for me which one goes through.
I'm edging it out Dressrosa just barely.
Yeah, the impact of the story. I mean, they're both have crazy
They
impact of the
both
story.
have
This is a
really
good
big
matchup.
impact. I just think
This is a
Dressrosa
really good matchup.
really builds like Punk Hazard and Dressrosa really built into the future stories too, Like it was the introduction of like Kaido as well as like very major reoccurring characters like Law.
Yeah,
So I,
yeah.
I would push it. just slightly over.
Yeah, it's very close though. It's very, very
It was
close. This has been a
close.
crazy first round
I know.
for a lot of these arcs. So the next one is Whole Cake and Thriller Bark. Okay, we know what this one is, all right.
Yeah, you know,
I
obviously
am
Whole Cake, Zoe, we got the Reverie. That's part of this one.
and I think it's Thriller Bark is just Thriller Bark,
And
right?
Thriller
So
Bark is just Thriller Bark. And I will
and
say, I am a Thriller Bark hater. Which
what
I'm surprised because when I look online, some people actually really enjoyed Thriller Bark. I don't know what it was at the
Thriller
time.
Thriller Bark is ruined by one person. It is
Who is
ruined
that?
by it is ruined. Dude, I can't even remember his name.
Moria,
It is
Morio,
ruined by Moria. Gecko Moria.
Gecko
If
Moria.
because when I think of like Thriller Bark, right? Okay, I guess we go through Thriller Bark first.
Yeah, let's go
And
through since it's
When I
chronologically
think of
first.
Thriller Bark, it has everything that could say as like a really good arc, right?
Yes.
We get introduced to Brooke. His backstory is sad as hell.
Yep.
We get cool moments. We get to see. I thought Nightmare Luffy was cool as fuck. I
Yeah.
thought I thought the introduction of Kuma was cool as fuck.
Hmm.
I thought. Well, I mean, I guess we were introduced to Kuma before, but like, I think like
Yeah.
seeing Kuma in action,
There were
right?
some
And
peak
especially
moments in Thriller Bark though. Now that you
in
mentioned
Zoro,
Kuma,
nothing
yeah.
happened. In Zoro, nothing happened. And there's so many cool moments. And like Kuma, especially now in the story with what we know, like Kuma's intentions, right? Some people
Hmm.
say it makes the Zoro nothing happen less less impactful to them because maybe Kuma like didn't like actually want to mean to kill like Zoro, but it's like it was still like cool as hell.
No,
I don't
that
think
was
it changed anything
so
for me at
cool.
all.
Hmm.
And it's like, and this is I guess Robin's first arc as being like part of the Straw Hat,
Yeah, and
and
Frankie
it's
as
like,
well.
and Frankie's well, yeah, Frank. We get to see some cool shit
This
Frankie
is when
does,
we kind of see the crew really the crew really assemble here.
but the the but this arc was ruined just by the villains, right?
I completely
We
agree.
we
This You're
we
telling me this
Gecko
guy
Moria,
fought Kaido for 5 days? I don't know. Hey, I don't know.
Gecko Moria, Absalom, Hogback, dude. Like Perona was cool as I like
Oh,
Perona,
Perona's cool.
right? Perona's a fan favorite, but like I thought Hogback was all right. You
Mm.
know, they hyped him up to be this fucking genius guy, but he turns out to be some mad scientist trying to like zombify everybody. Absalom is just a gooner, right? But like not as cool as Sanji.
Hmm.
Um, what's it called? Gecko Moria is man, like I keep saying Gecko Moria sucks. Just the fact that like he wants to be the laziest way possible to become Pirate King. His whole thing is like, oh, why should I just like get a whole crew if they're just gonna die anyway? I could just get a bunch of immortal people. Like I thought that was super lame. Like you're trying to hype up these guys, and he just lost all motivation because he lost to Kaido. Like I guess the same thing happens to a lot of these, like the Crocodile too. At least
Hmm.
Crocodile had enough like motivation to like take over a fucking country.
Yeah.
Like it's because because you could say it's the same thing. Like Crocodile had ambitions to be the Pirate King too, until Whitebeard fucked him up. But it's like still, it's not the same level of how like Moria just gave up on everything, and he's just like
No,
fuck it,
I agree with
you
you.
know.
I
So
think that the villain really ruined Thriller Bark for me.
yeah.
I And
So
then obviously
whole
Whole
cake.
Cake. This was also a very long arc. Probably at the
I
time the longest. I don't know if it was longer than Dressrosa, but it was like pretty much equal length, I think, if not more.
We get to see a lot of cool moments in Whole Cake Island.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, this was the first
the
time they like invaded like Yonko or Emperor territory. You know.
so Z- Zoe, I wasn't really a big fan of Zoe because
I'm
I'm
I agree with you. I did not
I
like
was not a
Zoe.
fan of Minx. I was not a fan of Minx, and I'm not a fan of furries. Okay,
Hmm.
shout out to the furries, but for some reason Zoe kind of like it irked me because of the Minx. But I thought the idea of Zoe was really cool. I
Yeah.
thought like the elephant was
Oh,
cool as fuck.
Zunisha, yeah, that was the saving
Zanisha was cool as
grace.
fuck.
But
But Whole Cake Island in itself, dude, there's a lot of cool moments too. Like,
Mhm.
like my favorite scene in Whole Cake Island is Sanji finding out
Oh
that
yeah,
Pudding is a snake,
yeah.
and him
Trying
just
to smoke.
lighting
Yeah,
his.
trying to light his
I
cigarette.
was I was reading that at work, and
Hmm.
I'm just like, dude, this fucked me up so bad. And I showed it to my coworker, right, who never watched One Piece, and like he read that
You can feel
page.
it. You can feel it.
You can feel his pain. This guy just got trifled by some hoe, and even still then, like Sanji is such a gentleman. Like during their wedding, like he knew like the whole plan of them trying to kill him. But even still, then like his character just comes out. He's such a sweet guy,
Hmm.
man. This arc has really made Sanji. I guess it is the Sanji
This
arc,
was
right?
this was Sanji's arc. It
But
was
it
really
was
interesting seeing his actual backstory. But
yeah, and
my favorite part of this arc was the introduction of Katakuri. Dude,
oh yeah,
this guy had so much aura that his do you remember his introduction when Al Capone like first met him and this guy is just telling him what he's going to say, you know? They
yeah.
introduce him as this guy's like, "Oh, he knows the future." And you're like, "What does that mean?" And he's literally talking to Al Capone but talking for Al Capone, you know?
Capone Beji.
Mhm.
But yeah, Katakuri was a really cool villain. I thought he was so like when I was reading it at first, like when we were like, I'm like, how the hell are we gonna get this guy? This guy could just see into the future. It's
Mhm.
like no big deal,
Yeah,
you know. And I
and
got
that
spoiled.
was he
What's
had the largest bounty at the time that we've ever seen.
yeah, it was like well over 1 billion,
Mhm.
and you know, a really cool character. I thought it was a really like good comparison to Luffy, especially with his mochi powers, and he's like, dude, I can do what you do, but better. You know,
Mhm.
like they, and his character of how like he respects Luffy, you know, and like he understands like Luffy's has his own reasons. Like, you know, he might not be ill intended, but like at the end of the day, Katakuri is just trying to defend his family. And it's like I thought Katakuri was an amazing character.
Mhm.
This was a W arc. I think at the time when I was reading it, I didn't really think it was that whatever. But the more I look back on it, I did look back on Whole Cake Island a lot more fondly.
Mhm.
So obviously
I feel
from
like
here,
we both
we,
agree, right?
this is a very landslide. I think Whole Cake Island takes the cake on this. Oh,
Mhm.
no pun intended.
Oh god.
All right.
And then so that concludes the first round. You know, we have
Yeah.
Alabasta beating East Blue. We have Just Rosa beating Sky Island. We got Whole Cake Island beating Thriller Bark, and that leads us to
Our Elite
the
Eight.
next
Is it an
round.
Elite Eight? No, this is the Sweet 16. This is the Sweet 16. So we've already talked about Alabasta.
Yeah, so I guess we
So
can
we
go
could
into Water
just
7, which
yeah.
you already know.
Yeah.
In Nice
This is
Lobby's
very
Water
easily
7 arc was peak.
I think I
I
think it's my
think
favorite
pre time
pre-time skip
skip,
arc.
yep, I think it's like
It's
one
my
of
favorite.
it's probably like the best arc.
It's
So many
story
good moments.
yeah. Story-wise, it was insanely well written. I don't know what
Hmm.
the hell Oda was on, right? Like what kind of shit he was
Yeah.
smoking on, just doing like writing this arc, but it was okay. Long Ring, Long Land. Let's not talk
Oh,
about that. Okay, we're gonna talk about Water
sorry.
Seven East Lobby. The the whole Robin story. We get to see Robin's backstory. We get to see her conflict, her being conflicted. She's like, she knows deep down she wants to go out to sea with Luffy, but in her head she just doesn't want, she just wants to like die, sacrifice herself, you know, to make sure
Hmm.
that, you know, the Straw Hats get out there safely. But man, it's the villains that are introduced in this arc
Hmm.
are very well written.
Yeah, we have like Rob
You know,
Lucci.
we get to see them like in like still relevant to the story to this day too.
Hmm.
um we get to see that
Bro,
like in terms of best moments, dude, this arc takes the cake with
think
um
about it. You got Gear
not even
2,
just
you
the
got Gear 3, you have the introduction of Sogeking.
Soge King is one of the best characters of all
Hmm.
time. Not even just like the I want to live part. It's like him shooting down the flag
Hmm.
before even that even happened. Like saying, "Hey, I'm staying on business." fuck y'all, fuck the government. I'm saying my shit. You know, I thought Sanji was like, when he did his whole little espionage thing, trying to get into the train first. Like I thought that was really cool. I thought the fight with Rob Lucci was insane, right? And
Mhm.
Rob Lucci's backstory was like they really made it out to be a really cool character.
Yeah, I thought
And
everybody's fights here were top tier, and even like Chopper seeing his like his monster form for the first
oh
time,
my god.
I really thinking like, what, like what? This guy literally
And
looks like a monster.
I think the thing too is the out of all like the post arcs, right? Like I think post Nice Lobby is one of the better, if not the best post like arc too.
Hmm.
Because we get to meet Garp like officially as like Luffy's grandfather. We get to find out, we also get to find out Luffy's dad is also Dragon too.
Yeah, there was a lot of
And
lore dropped here
I,
too.
I feel like, and we get to see Usopp coming back to the crew.
Hmm.
Frankie like joined the crew too. Like I think out of all like the post arcs, like I think that might have been one of the better ones, in
I
my
agree with
opinion.
that.
But just like I mean, you guys know
You
Water
know,
Seven, man.
this was basically
It
the
is.
introduction of like Frankie and Robin into the crew. So
Like
I
official, Robin
officially,
officially. Yep.
yeah, and Frankie officially. So I think comparing the two, I will have to go Water Seven.
Oh, 100%. Well, Water 7, yeah. Like just to like summarize it, like story amazing, characters like amazing, like villains, backstories, everything. Robin's backstory, I don't even think we talked about that. Robin's backstory is nuts. Like
Hmm.
I think she has the saddest backstory in the whole story. And again too, like the post arc was amazing.
I think
It
everything
is
in Water Seven was really
amazing.
good.
Even Long Ring Long Land. I said
I
it.
actually like that arc surprisingly.
I thought it was filler. I was reading it. I thought it was filler.
I actually I didn't know. Yeah, I thought it was filler too, but I normally hate filler, but I enjoyed that. But
Yeah.
we got here.
But
Water Seven takes the cake, and now the next. Now this one might be
wait a
tough.
second. I gotta. Wait, my Discord is bugging. Hold on. All right, there you
Hmm.
guys. It's good now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Summit War
now,
and Dress Rose.
yeah, we got Dressrosa versus Summit War, and
So yeah,
I
Summit
mean,
War.
look at what
Man,
it covers.
that
The
that
Summit
lineup is
War
insane.
covers Sabaody. Yeah, yeah, and I specifically picked out this image for the Summit War. I felt like it kind of
This
encompasses the
this
like how big this arc was.
this arc, man, that is like a crazy line. This is like 2016 Golden State Warriors regular season. Like how insane. This is like dream team shit, okay? They got
Mhm.
Sabaody, Amazon Lily,
Impel Down.
Impelled Down, Post War, Marineford. I think the worst arc be on this list being Amazon Lily it says
I
a lot
agree.
because Amazon Lily is still like a really good arc like on its own right too.
Mhm.
And it's like I I think it's very like we know what we're gonna win here is like Summit War, but like to show why is because again like best moments, right? We do see
Oh my god, so many good moments.
I see you can just name everything. It's like Akainu killing Ace, Whitebeard's death,
Mhm.
or Whitebeard even pulling up to the war, or even
All
like for the
three
Impel Down too.
admirals,
Luffy freeing all the prisoners in Impel Down, him teaming up with
dude.
Buggy, him falling from the
Bon
sky.
Clay, bro.
Bon Clay is the hero, and
Dude,
even
yeah,
like
the hero of Impel Down, dude. I felt like
and,
so many good moments.
and from Sabo Odie too, it's like we meet Rayleigh, we meet
Hmm.
we find out this guy is like a problem. This guy is the fucking vice captain or the right hand man of the Roger Pirates. Like this is the like probably aside from Kirk is that's like the first guy that we officially meet. But aside from Kirk is and Shanks from the Roger Pirates, and it's like like we get to see how much Luffy actually needs to level up. From Sabaody all the way to Marineford, how much he needs to get better to save to become the Pirate King, basically. Because this whole arc, he was just taking L's on top of L's on top of L's.
Mhm.
He could barely beat. I think it took the whole crew to beat one pacifista, right? And Sabaody before he got sent away by. And also Luffy gets to see everyone gets sent away.
Yeah,
When
that
I
was
was
very
reading that,
sad.
that shit fucked me up.
Mhm.
And him him losing to Magella, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Magella's Delphi is just OP, but it's like,
Yeah.
and then him like being able to go to Marineford and
Mhm.
not being able to save his brother.
And
Like
then also
this
just
whole
I
this,
think the introduction of Blackbeard as a villain from Impel Down
oh
and
my god,
Marineford, I think that was just like really good storytelling, like
yeah,
the introduction of this character who we've seen before, but kind of setting him up to be, a huge problem, and we're really seeing that now.
yeah. So to also the thing too, finding out Ace like just to start off Marineford, we find out Ace's dad is Roger. I was like, dude, like if this is the tone we're
Yeah.
setting at the start of this arc. What else do we have to see?
Hmm.
So I thought that was really good. Obviously, when we talked about Destroyer before, but comparing it to Summit War is the best between these
Yeah.
two. So
I was gonna say
Summit War
Summit
takes
War
it here.
takes it the cake. Like
Easy,
Dressrosa's
easy,
good,
easy diff.
but dude, Summer War was just like, dude, everything was good about it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Everything was amazing. And post, yeah.
And next we got Whole Cake Island in Wano.
I think
Wano
for
just being Wano. Wano was a
yeah, one
long
as long
arc.
as fuck.
Very long.
I think from when me and Austin talk about arcs in general, like, I think we do talk about how Wano is both of our favorite arcs as
Hmm.
well.
Wano
But
is
like if we're gonna
personally
talk,
my favorite arc, I
yeah,
think. That this is also where I personally started reading the manga, was the start of Wano.
and I thought Wano was amazing too because I thought especially the beginning of Wano when we get to see like the how everyone's like starting to like espionage their way in to find more stuff out about Kaido.
Hmm.
I thought it does like bring that element of the goofiness of One Piece again that we don't really get to see in post time skip. So I thought that was pretty funny, like how like Luffy, like when like especially like specifically the scene when Luffy and Zoro see each other again, how excited they were,
Oh
and them trying
yeah.
so hard to like not reveal each other, and then Luffy using the sword, like there's like small moments in Wano like scattered throughout this that like make it like very enjoyable for me.
Hmm.
But like other than that, like
Did
the one
I
thing I
think just
don't
seeing
really enjoy,
Zoro again, because
yeah,
prior to this, the last time we saw him was in Zoe, and I was watching the anime at the time, and dude, easily it was like over 2 years we was
yeah,
spent on Whole Cake Island, so we never got to see like almost half of the Straw Hat crew. So seeing the introduction of like everyone being together, I felt like was a big deal, and also the fact that Jinbei's a part of the crew here, even though he
oh my
doesn't really
god,
show
yeah.
up until the end.
There's a lot to talk about Wano, but
Hmm.
like like from what we talked about before, like we've got moments, we've got like the big fight at the end, right? Roof Piece is amazing.
Hmm.
Like Roof Piece really
Yeah,
does carry this arc like crazy,
the
like the way
animation
Onigashima.
was really good in Wano too.
Yeah. Man, I remember reading King versus Zoro
Versus
versus
watching,
watching. I'm like,
right?
wait, they did this shit? It's
I was like,
just
I
like,
must be reading the wrong story.
yeah. I mean, but like, still, it was still like really like amazing. Like both in both avenues. Um, and like I can go so much into detail with
I
Wano,
know
but like
we could
Wano's
just
such a long
that's a
arc.
whole podcast in
Like
itself.
also Gear 5, but like to cut it short, like
Yeah,
Wano is it for me
easily.
here.
No, I
So
completely agree.
now
And
we're in
now,
the we're
ooh,
still
yeah, we're still on this.
okay.
So we got
Okay.
Fishman Island versus Egghead, and this is new for both of us.
This is an
Return, yeah,
easy. Well, so Return to Sabaody I actually really like
I
because
am a really big fan.
like we get to okay aside from like seeing the crew again, right? I have a and I think I should have talked about this in Wano too. Is I have a very soft spot for Roger flashbacks, and when I saw that like for me like the moment like I love Return to Sabaody is when we see Rayleigh looking back and we see that the original owner of the Straw Hat was Roger.
Hmm.
That fucked me. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like this should run deep. This Straw Hat runs deep, and it does like show as like a symbolism of just like how far Luffy has gone.
Hmm.
You know, from
For me,
before
I I
time skip, and
I
now
actually
he's just
personally like
crazy.
Return to Sabaody over Fishman Island. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
Fishman Island was like, I guess it's technically the first arc after the 2 year time skip. We get to see how strong everybody is.
yeah.
Um, dude, a lot of good moments,
A lot of good
especially
moments.
like this is everyone got their power ups. You know,
It does
everyone's
serve its
different.
purpose.
They all
This
spent like two
story,
years.
these two arcs does use its purpose as the hey, um, these guys leveled up. These guys been training for 2 years in their time skip, and this is just to show like how much stronger they've gone. Because the villains in Fishman Island and the villains in Return to Subway, they are comparable to the ones that they fought before the time skip,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Hody Jones is just basically Arlong,
Arlong,
right?
yeah,
And we get this is
2.0.
basically like what like Luffy would look like if he fought Arlong, like a
Hmm.
juiced up Arlong. So I guess you could say it is stronger than Arlong. But like the thing about Fishman Island that is also the same about Thriller Bark is it's
The villain.
just ruined by the villains
I
and
agree.
Odie Jones is being evil for the sake of being evil, then just start juicing up, being on fish steroids. Fuck yeah, Fishman Island had so much
Yeah.
potential,
It did have a
but
lot of
you know,
potential, but I agree. I think it gets ruined by the villain. But then we got
Egghead.
Egghead. And I guess for the sake of this, are we going from the perspective of the anime? Or are we also
Um,
including the manga?
let's just let's just include the manga
Oh,
because
okay. That's a whole different
Egghead is
story.
amazing. Egghead is amazing. Egghead might go far in this bracket.
Mm,
Uh, we see a lot. I think like the big part of my personal enjoyment of certain arcs is how fast the story progresses, and I feel
hmm.
like Egghead just
The pacing in
kicks it up
Egghead is just
crazy.
amazing. I think both in terms of the
So
manga as well as the anime.
so we see the Kuma backstory, right? We get to see like clarification of a lot what's going on throughout the story. We get to see just like the speech of what's his face
Vegapunk
of Doctor Vegapunk was saying. We get to see the Gorosei finally like take action.
showing
Aside
up.
from when they pulled up on Sabo, we get to
Hmm.
see like real like live action, like what the hell they're up to. Um, we get to see this is Luffy's first arc as like recognized as an Emperor of the Sea, and like I don't want to like go into it as much because we did ramble on a lot about the other arcs, but it's like this is one of the best arcs like Oda's ever written, in my opinion.
Hmm.
A lot of cool moments, like the lore drop is crazy, because the whole Vegapunk speech, Kuma's
Kuma's
backstory.
backstory.
Um,
Yeah.
so in
But
terms of story progression, it's there,
mhm.
and it has a lot of cool moments and a lot of cool fights. So, you know,
I think for
Egghead
me
takes it.
personally, Egghead takes it. I think we both agree.
Yeah,
And I
Egghead
think that's
takes
an
it. So,
easy one, dude. That's easy.
so
Dude,
now
we're
we're
getting
at our
uh
final four.
final four.
Final four.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
What?
So we've gone through all these arcs already. So we
Mhm.
can just go like what we
Exactly.
pick, and then we'll say
Okay.
why. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. And this pains me, but honestly, looking at like all these arcs, ooh,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to
This
go
should have.
Summit War. What do you think?
Okay.
But
Um.
it's
I.
close. I don't
Well,
know.
why?
Like Water 7.
What brings the edge over Summit War over Water 7?
Dude, I don't know. I thought the overall storytelling of like the lore drop of Ace's story, you know, like everything that we learned from like Impel Down, like all these characters that we're meeting, and how much of an impact they play in the story, as well as like even like Akainu here, like his
Yeah.
introduction to the story, Blackbeard. I kind of gotta put that for me. It was like a lot more memorable, even though I love Water 7. I would say
Yeah.
like I definitely remember way more moments from the Summit War arc than Water 7. But I want to hear your
I think
perspective.
I think personal enjoyment, Water
Mhm.
7 is my favorite pre-time skip.
Okay.
But like when I take into account of like the story progression and its importance to the story, I think that's where Summit War takes it for me. Because oh man, I talked about how good the post war, I mean the post Water 7 arc was with the
Mhm.
post East lobby, but and how it's like one of the best post arcs there was, and but like the best one I think is
Yeah, I also
post Marine.
agree. I thought post war arc was also really good.
But we do see like I think it's very important to show because like up to this point, Luffy was kind of just mollywopping everybody, and I do think it's
He gets humbled
fact that we
bad.
get to see we he gets humbled continuously through all these arcs in Summon
Mhm.
War. Like we get to see the levels to it and the scale of when Whitebeard pulls up, shit going down, when whole and it's like I do think that's what takes it over the cake for Water 7. As high
Mhm.
stakes as Water 7 was in terms of waging war on the government and getting Robin back,
I
how
mean,
much
Summit War was
more
literally they
it's
just went to war
crazy
against the government.
against yeah, it's too there's levels to it.
Mhm.
And again, like Water 7 personal enjoyment my favorite and at
Mhm.
least in pre-time skip too. But Summit War, like how the importance of its story and the importance of its story progression, the importance to all these characters are still recurring. We get to see Akainu still. The admirals are still very important, not
Mhm.
just like Kizaru, Akainu, Kizaru, and now Kiji too.
Yep.
And we get to see Blackbeard. Like, how can we forget Blackbeard? You mentioned like him emerging as a villain, but like
Mhm.
him stealing Whitebeard's fruit. Oh my god, yeah. I think it's gonna be Summit War. The more I talk about it
Uh
out loud, the more easily it becomes Summit
this
War.
one was tough though, and I knew this would come eventually, but I think Summit War has to take it here. Ooh.
Wano versus
Okay, now this
Egghead.
is interesting.
You know,
Okay,
I'm gonna
since I
say
went
what
first
I
last time, you gotta
yeah.
go first this time.
I think Egghead's better.
Okay.
I think
Oh wow.
I think the more because I used to say Wano's my favorite, but like
Mm-hmm.
the more like now that we're actually like going side by side, I think the pacing of Egghead is just especially because it's shorter, right? I know it's
Mm-hmm.
shorter, but
Egghead,
frankly,
relative to
Egghead
like
and
all the arcs, was a very short arc, surprisingly.
but like the pacing of it is oh my god no I'm starting to like teeter totter between back and forth, but I think I think of the importance of the story. We do
Okay.
get to see it with Wano the emergence of Gear 5 in Roof
Mm-hmm.
Piece, right? That is very important.
Oh,
And
that's the
how
problem
good
with
it
this
is
one
to
is
the
that
story.
both of them have such good moments. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to justify my
Mm-hmm.
choices, right? Because it could go either way.
But I can understand
But
because Wano was a very long arc. As like an anime
yeah,
watcher, I could understand, the beginning being very slow. It was split into what, three parts?
I I think I did not enjoy seeing Luffy in prison. I'll say that.
Oh, I
I did
yeah,
not
I personally
I
didn't like
I
that
did
either.
not like
That was
I
a
didn't
very
like Luffy
long.
in prison
He was
because
in
it
prison for a
seemed
while.
pointless. It seemed like oh Luffy went to prison, he's gonna get tortured. He had fun in prison. he was
They
training.
trained him in prison,
So
literally.
like, don't get me wrong, like Luffy, Wano's like one of my favorite arcs, right? Even before we started this, I thought I would say Wano's my favorite, but I think
Okay.
the fact of the how high stakes it was in Egghead, seeing the Gorosei pulling up,
Yeah.
seeing Kizaru pulling up. Since it's not just pirate versus pirate, it's like it's pirate versus government,
Mhm.
pirate versus like the Illuminati of this verse. It's I think
Okay.
Egghead takes the cake, and
I
it does
gotta
like
agree.
and
I
again,
agree with you. Even though
yeah,
I love Wano, I love the aesthetic of Wano. I gotta agree with you for the sake that the pacing of Egghead is just amazing. It's so
yeah,
good, and the storytelling is just peak there.
and also like, and I'm gonna mention this too when we talk about Egghead versus Marineford is like this is like Luffy's first arc as the Emperor, and like we get to finally see the dynamic between how seriously the government's gonna take him now,
Hmm.
seeing as like they see
Oh
him as like
yeah.
an actual
No, this guy's
way
an
bigger
actual
threat than
threat.
he was before. And it's like seeing him like becoming to that point, like it is very refreshing, very nice to see because like they did take him seriously before, but it's like not to this extent. Like now they need permission to even like attack him. Like show it's like come on, bro. Like
Mhm.
it's Egghead is that's what takes it over for me. Egghead over Wano.
So
So
we
now
got
we're now this is
the
this
final two.
yeah.
This is what this is led up to.
So are we so we're not talking about Elbaf, right? Because you said doesn't this
No,
count
I
the
wouldn't count
Elbaf
because
villain?
especially because Elbaf is really early on, I
Yeah,
felt like
so the
like if we're going over arcs, I think Elbaf is a very incomplete arc.
hmm, I think oh man, I went first, so you gotta go first. Oh man. Oh
Maybe
man, oh
this
man.
okay, and this honestly might be recency bias, especially since I just watched the trailer before we started this. I am like so hyped to see Egghead. I
Yeah.
think the moments that like it's crazy because like when I talk about moments, I'm like, oh wow, like Summit War has such good moments. Dude, I'm like I haven't even watched it, but I can already say Egghead Part 2 has such good moments.
I think to say what's better, I think we gotta talk about the negatives between both arcs, right? And there's
Okay.
not a lot, and I don't think there's any, to be honest, now that more than I think about it. Like when I
Okay.
think Summit War,
I just
like
when I think
Amazon
of
Lily
I just think
does
of
bring it
Amazon
down,
Lily bringing it down. But with Egghead, I
but
actually can't think of anything that really brings it down that much.
but that shouldn't like because if you're gonna include more arcs,
Hmm.
it's gonna obviously there's more likely of how there's negatives aspect to it. But I get oh my god, dude, when this is hard. I don't know. Like like I could see it going either way, but I think it goes to Summit War.
Oh really? Okay.
Oh man, I don't know because I won't, dude.
Oh, this was good.
It's very hard
And you know what? I'm actually
because
willing to waver because
wait,
Egghead
no.
is still kind of
Let's.
incomplete. But when I think of like this, like how long this arc was and how much I enjoyed all these arcs, it's like it's definitely hard to say because Egghead is way shorter, when it comes to relative in terms of arcs.
I'm
Oh, this is tough.
there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. Okay,
Mhm.
let's try to.
Let's try to break it
Summit
down.
War had okay. Let's talk about moments for moments, right?
Yeah.
Moments versus. I think Summit War has way better moments than Egghead.
Hmm.
I
I think
it's
for
more
me,
iconic
I'm getting
for
a lot
sure,
of recency bias, but I do agree.
dude.
At the time, if
It's
you were to put me back into like 2011, 2012, in the way I was talking about Summit War, dude, it was like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, you know?
dude. It was the arc where we get to see the One Piece is real. All right,
Oh,
it
true.
is. So I think moments
Ooh,
like
okay.
it
I'm
does
starting to
go to
waver
Summit
more.
War
Hmm.
versus like because when I think about because Egghead moments are there's Rob Lucci versus Luffy. There's Vegapunk's speech. There's the Kuma
Yeah,
backstory.
Blackbeard versus Law.
Oh my god,
You
I
gotta
don't
think
care. Blackbeard's all Shanks. Then there's
Aokiji
also Garp
versus
versus
Garp.
oh
There's Kobe, Honesty, Impact. Oh, I'm actually starting to change my mind actually again.
yeah. And then there's also like
Okay, and
a lot
also a
of
side thing. Dude, Zoro's drip in Egghead is actually insane.
okay, yeah, that's also true. You know what? Because I mean, for both senses of story progression too, they're both extremely important with the story. I think, I think Marineford is more important,
Hmm.
right? Because I think the thing with Egghead is we're only revealing more of it,
Hmm.
but the thing with Summit War
This was like a
is
big
more shit
reveal.
happens.
Like,
More shit happens, right? We see
mhm.
Ace's death, Whitebeard's death. We see
Egghead definitely like
the
builds on to previous reveals, but Summit
what's it-
War definitely
the
just.
rejuvenate. What
Mhm.
like Whitebeard did what Roger did before, like basically it ignite the new age of piracy
Yeah.
with like the One Piece is real, seeing everyone.
Oh, dude, the final
But
villain, like, well, not necessarily, but introduction of like Blackbeard and Blackbeard stealing the Whitebeard's fruit.
okay, I'm gonna make my choice.
Okay.
I think it's Summit War, and I think the biggest like the reason why is because in terms of like progressing the story onwards, I think Summit War has a bigger impact onto the story than Egghead. I think
And
with
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
I think with Egghead, it's more so revealing, right,
Hmm.
things that's going on. There is a lot of progression too. Like we get to see like change in the Gorosei. We get to see Garp's capture. Get to see Law and Shanks getting fucked up. Not Law and Shanks. Law and Kid getting fucked up. But I think there's more at stake. In
Hmm.
I think they're both a lot at stake. But I think Summer War is I think for me Summer War takes it just because like the impact of Whitebeard and Ace's death. Um, and like the emergence of Luffy from all this and people that were there seeing that Luffy like he's gonna be up next,
Hmm.
right? I do think that's what takes it over Egghead
Hmm.
personally for me over Egg. But it's very close. To be
It
honest, if
is
you ask
so
me, and
close.
yeah.
But
So
there we go. We have our bracket. Everything ends
uh,
with Summit War.
I actually didn't even think I was gonna win. I thought I before I went to I thought like some Water Seven was gonna win, and I actually
Dude,
very
that's what
happy we
I
did this.
thought. Because we've had a lot of like we've had this conversation before, you know. But
Yeah,
actually like doing it in a bracket style, like explaining and looking at all the sub arcs, I'm actually kind of surprised that Summit War won.
yeah. And and for anyone watching this thing, you got this far, like just let us know who you would have
Yeah,
had
I want to
winning.
know what other people had for winning the entire bracket.
uh, but I'm just like I mentioned before, this is gonna be a lot better than the
Mhm.
actual March Madness, right?
Yeah.
Because actual March Madness is very mid right now. But
Hmm. No, that was
you know,
way harder than expected. But I'm glad we did it, and I'm really happy like if the listeners have made it this far in, you know.
yeah, yeah. So that's I guess to like wrap things up, right? That's gonna be it for today.
Hmm.
This is what we had planned, and this is episode one. Uh, we're gonna try to do this weekly with chapter anime release. So next week you should expect us to talk about 1144.
Hmm.
Um, hopefully that at that point, I think the anime's gonna be out at that point too. If not, still gonna talk about it. We're gonna have more things planned as
Yep.
well. Um, and is there anything you'd like to add before
No,
I do
yeah,
the
I
the
guess
faster intro?
follow us on our socials. We'll have them in the description below. But until next time.
See you guys later. Okay. Welcome back, guys, to the first episode of the Gomu Gomu No podcast. Wait, sorry.
Wait,
Okay,
wait, no, 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 no.
let's
Go,
restart.
go,
Let's
no,
restart.
talk podcast.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
No, no,
okay.
not the No podcast because that's another
Yeah,
podcast.
you promoting the enemy.
um.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, are we talking about the anime or are we talking about the March Madness thing first?
Oh, oh, let's do the anime. I'm gonna be honest. In my head, I completely forgot about that. So thank you for reminding
All
me.
right.
Okay.
Okay. All
You
right.
want to?
So we
Yeah. Let's just go back into
we
it.
we well we can yeah. So we're